2024. Ms. Shirley, can you lead us in a prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we come before you with thanksgiving in our heart. We thank you for sending your son, Jesus, into this world to die for us. Also, Lord, we just thank you for this gathering tonight. We want everything done in your order and decency in order to always give you the grace and mercy, Lord. We thank you for so many things, and just want to say thank you for our health and strength. Most of all, thank you for sending your son, Jesus, into the world to die for all our sins. In Jesus' name, the Father and the Son, we pray. Amen.
Please join us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Shirley Anderson.
Here.
Andy Bishop. Here. Will Cotton. Here. Ashley Ferguson. Martin McDermott. Here. Matthew Peterson. Here. Josh Oakley.
Yes.
We have a four.
Has everybody had the opportunity to review the agenda for tonight?
Yes.
Move to approve the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Has everybody had the opportunity to look at the meeting minutes from last month?
Yes. Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. That brings us to old business. Mr. Sanders, concerning the Scott Bar Frizzell Outdoor Shooting Range. Mr. Sanders?
Thank you. I'll preface this by, I met with Mr. Amrine today and also my legal advisor, and they agree with what y'all told me last month, that really y'all don't have much flexibility to be able to do anything about this. But Mr. Oakland did ask to bring additional information.
Yes.
And since this could possibly be thrown back by the police jury to the planning and zoning, I have some more exact numbers from what I had the other day. I passed this handout out. The first page shows that there are 4 landowners whose property pretty much corner at the back end of Mr. Fobb and Frizzell's 1,000-yard range. It shows the shooting house in the upper left-hand corner. It also shows the Northeast Elementary School down at the bottom, down the open pasture. The people involved are myself, Mr. Fago, Mr. Fisher, and Ms. Steele. And essentially, we surround all of the Frizzell property. Picture's worth 1,000 words. Next page shows, this is a screen grab from one of Mr. Fobb's videos that he put online for advertisement. Shows the berm at the back of the 1,000-yard range. The open field to the right is Mr. Fisher's. The open field behind it is Ms. Steele's. The first patch of trees on the other side of the Mr. Fisher's is Mr. Fago's, and my property line is just about an inch from the edge of the picture here on the right that goes all the way to Mr. Fisher's field. So all 4 of these are together. Now, the more exact numbers. Mr. Fisher was kind enough to let me go in there Saturday with one of his neighbors to the back corner of his field. And the berm there is readily visible. And with a rangefinder with an inclinometer that if you look up or down, it gives you the angle. If you get on 0, so we put a ladder up a tree on the property line. And the berm on the right-hand corner is 10 feet. The center is at 12 feet. This is of Saturday, that's of Saturday. Mr. Fago's property is 19 yards away. Mrs. Steele's property is 0 yards away. The back end of the berm is on her property line, or within a couple of feet of it. My property line, my corner, is about 35 yards from it. And as you can see here, there's no lateral burns. There may be now, but they weren't Saturday. So this takes into account what we consider a hazardous situation. You can see that this was already in use because there are targets in place whenever this video was taken. And I'm sure Mr. Fobbs here, he can tell you exactly when it was taken. So again, that's the safety issue part of it. There's any bullet that misses the burn is going to be on somebody else's property. The last page refers to the sound and also the volume of the shots. These are both pretty good size, pretty nice decibel meter. At 1,500 feet, that's my house. That's how far away I am from the shooting house. As you can see, you've never seen one of these before. The taller, sharp spikes are individual rifle shots of some large velocity. The wider they are at the base is the more is the echo that you hear. The peak is what's important. That was taken on December 26, 23. The one right underneath it shows a large bunch of large single spikes. This is a semi-automatic weapon that's firing. The time stamp is on here. That's about a shot every second and a half. On the 4th of February is the third one, and you can see where they show the volume we're dealing with. They counted over 330 shots between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, it's a semi-automatic. You can count 20 shots, break, reload, 20 shots, break, reload, and this recording thing goes on. I've got a couple of dozen of those. I finally, to get a better perspective of the actual volume, the bottom one was taken at the abandoned or closed bar that's northeast of the shooting house, 250 feet. And you can see what the spikes are there. They're all over, approaching 100. I looked up the noise ordinance for the parish. The maximum from 7 in the morning to 11 in the afternoon is 85 decibels. 90 decibels anytime, and at night it's 65. Well, it shows here that a lot of them are outside the limit allowed by law, but also the volume is what's making up the issue, and I'll turn that over to my wife and my sister here in a minute. The shooting benches there are only 45 feet from the road. Winchester and Remington list their decibel levels on most of their hunting rounds at between 160 and 170 decibels. So it's unless there's some very large, tall sound barriers put up, that noise is going to be going across out of the property. It's 45 feet to the center line of Scott Bar Road, which is the property line. And it's only 30 feet to Ms. Steele's property. So that's all I have. This, I'm on the agenda for the regular police jury meeting for Monday, and plan on presenting the same information. They have authority to do whatever they want to do on it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
My sister.
Is there anybody else to speak on this? Yeah, we got this volume of people. I'll give y'all the same amount of time that we just dealt with, but I've got everybody else 3 minutes. Tell them.
My name is Susan.
I'm gonna cut everybody else to 3 minutes other than the actual other owners of the property, so. Yes, ma'am.
Susan Sanders Coward, and I'm the next house after my brother's house on their house.
Yes, ma'am.
And when all this first started, all I did was just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting, and I didn't know even particularly where it was coming from. I didn't know that they were planning on building this range. I knew nothing about it. And I even heard some other shooting at night and some automatic fire, which we found out later had nothing to do with him. But I was like,
particular shootings. My complaints are almost all from an annoyance and from the fact that it has changed the way that we can use our own property. I can't take an afternoon nap. I can't take my grandchildren to sit in the ground line with me anymore. And I can't sit on my back porch in the afternoons and enjoy the peace of quiet that we used to have in the country. We're sitting next to a shooting range, and it is no longer pleasant.
Thank you. Anybody else? Y'all know the property? Introduce yourself and
My name is Ben Bob, and I'm the owner-operator of the Roman Shot Outdoors, as well as Dwayne Hall. We lease the property from Dick Brazil for the shooting range. We weren't here a month ago, didn't know we were supposed to be here a month ago, so I spoke with you earlier, hope we get the amount of time that we need. Last month, you brought up all kind of different stuff, and a lot of it wasn't factual as far as the safety aspect of the range.
explain your safety to it, try not to
Right, so.
say that somebody's not factual, explain
I'm
your
getting to
safety.
you right now.
That's-
Okay. So first off, right when somebody shows up, we communicate to them before they show up. Guns need to be unloaded, basic gun safety. When they get up, and when they get in the shooting house, when it comes out, they get what's called a clear reach indicator, goes in their rifle. They go to the window, we open the window up, put the rifle in the window, and then once they're ready to fire, we'll pull that. But during that time, we interview everybody as they're coming in the door, and I like to talk, so I want to know the shooting history, but another is finding out where they're at as far as when to shoot. So we go over safety brief, leave the gun in the window. If we have any malfunctions, leave it there. I'll take care of it if you can't. If not, I'll take it out of the window, and then I'll take care of the rifle. We have a range safety officer there at all times. For one, I think we discussed that with y'all in the very beginning of this, and two, our insurance, and three, it's a 1,000-yard range. We don't want somebody out there just slinging around. So the safety officer that's in there is watching every shot. And so we start everybody, and we tell them when they get there, check your zero. So we're gonna check the zero at 100, and then we'll walk them out to 1,000 yards. If we get somebody that's not.
Meaning, so you start shooting shorter distance?
That's correct.
And then shoot further?
Progress. Yes,
Accuracy?
that's right. If they're capable.
Okay.
So some guys, we shut down at 400 yards. Some guys get out there and we're shooting a 100-yard burn, and we realize they don't know exactly what they're doing. And I ran some guys off, like, look, man, y'all wanna come back and do some one-on-one with me? We'll go over what you have, and we'll shoot. But I can't sit there and do that. You know, if I had two other shooters, I can't take my eyes off of those guys to babysit one. You know, unless we have another safety officer and shoot us. So, yeah, the berms, we have, he said, picture's worth 1,000 words. They keep bringing the school up. I didn't make a bunch of copies, I probably should have. This is where the range is, I'm sure you don't know where it's at. Range is right here. Shooting is right here. It's over half a mile. If it's deflected, it's over a half mile to the school. And a direct shot, which we can't do, you have to bring the gun in the shooting house, turn and aim to shoot it at the school. It's over a mile away.
The school is here?
School's here, shooting house is here, burn is here.
So
Yeah, we'd have to shoot, yeah, and take a note, my house is right here.
So is there any clear space?
No,
across there?
absolutely not. It's all woods. All woods. And on top of that, I'll show you, I'll start right here. On top of that, we have deflectors, because my house is in that line. We have deflectors up on all the shooting windows that are elevated, where you can't aim the gun to the right or to the left. So everything is directed downrange. And so There's a shooting house, there's a target, there's the school, a mile through the woods. And a deflection with a magic bullet, it would be a half mile. And just so you know, on a deflection, if it was a solid shot, the energy of the bullet reaching the school would be 143 inch pounds. Or foot, excuse me, foot pounds, which is not lethal, which we don't have anything on with school period, but no possible way it would go to school. Not with all the battles we have, the safety protocols that we put in place. Mr. Darrell keeps saying that his property is downrange. It's downrange of the target to the burns, and he is directly to the right. His property at no time comes into the firing lane, especially with the baffles in place. It's just not possible. The only property would be Ms. Steele's, and we'll get to that in a second. Yes, trajectory. So we have about 1,000-yard shots. We're not shooting laser beams. A bullet doesn't just fly straight 1,000 yards. You have to arch it, and then it falls into place. So, and Mr. Darrell kept saying, nobody can shoot 1,000 yards. Nobody can shoot 1,000 yards. I watched the video last night. I just found out about it last night. So, the grouping out of our rifles at 1,000 yards are under an inch. We're shooting under a 1 inch group at 1,000 yards out of our rifles. And then we expect the same of our clients to be able to shoot a minimum of a minute. We expect them to be able to shoot at least a 10-inch group. If they can't shoot a 10-inch group, we're not going to let them shoot. And we have clients that are here tonight that will testify to that. We have state-of-the-art cameras on our system. He says that we can't see 1,000 yards. We have cameras that can. We have cameras that track our shots. So they don't put the mark on there, we do. But they do blink at us. They say, hey, here's your impact. This is where you're hitting. And on top of that, we have high-power scopes, and we're trained through our high-power spotting scopes to watch the trace of every round and to watch an impact. Again, just more and more grouping. And the fun one is we shoot golf balls at 1,000 yards. Okay? We're not talking about 15 feet of being off. Okay? We're talking about pinpoint accuracy of what we're doing. And it's not just us, it's our clients.
Where is your target compared to your berm? Is it ahead of your berm? Is it halfway up your berm?
Our berm was 16 feet. It is settled to 12.9. We measured it this week. And all the targets are no higher than 3 feet off. Yep. And I'll show you. My nephew, he's a 10-year-old, shooting golf balls at 1,000 yards. Okay? So it's not impossible. It's very, very doable. The infrastructure that we put in alone, we moved over 15,000 yards of dirt on this property. To put berms up, to put in fiber optic, we put in 32 pair of fiber optic for these systems that we're running. We ran electricity, 3,800 foot of electricity, 3,800 foot of fiber optics to run these camera systems so we can make sure of what we're doing. He's saying there's no side berms, there's no wings. Wings come out 35 feet. That's just one wing, I'll show you the other one.
We're looking at the corner.
That's into the corner, like if you're standing at the berm looking, it's right there. And then there's another one to the left, and it actually hooks around and goes more to catch a little more, just to be on the safe side.
Can you shoot that far suppressed?
Yes, sir, we do. All of our shots are suppressed. We have some clients that don't have suppressors yet, but we're working on that. That's part of our business model. We manufacture suppressors.
The suppressors control the noise.
Yes, ma'am, they do. And we're working on that to get everybody suppressed.
And how much percentage that controls the noise? Because I'm quite sure they're talking about the noise in their neighborhood.
Drastic. I have a sound guy that's gonna go over decimal readings and sound. He came out actually in April. We hired him while we were going through the stuff to begin with. He came out, we filmed it, he was independent.
Just one second. Can we take this and move our maps through, and then just move further back, and let's get our people the maps and everything else, and let them, do you mind if I move you a little further off in the meeting, because it looks like we're gonna go a little off?
That's fine.
I have no problem with hearing it, but I wanna let our normal business go and let those people with maps and those items get moved along right quick. Are y'all okay with that?
The fact that it needs to go to police is not necessarily a decision that the planning is on.
It's something that we'll see again. We won't be able to make a decision, but we will see this again. So I think they need to please, I do, and y'all can disagree with me right now, and we can have that discussion too, but I think they need to be able to plead their case. We let somebody else plead their case last week, and I think they need to be able to plead their case. So, do I need to? Yeah.
He's had as much time tonight.
I wasn't here last week, last month, and you got a half hour last month.
I'm just saying,
Yes, sir.
if you wanna get another 5 minutes, that's fine, we need to somehow put time.
Kind of squeeze it out a little bit. We had about 10 minutes last week, so
Good.
that's good.
Yes, sir.
Or last month. All right,
You want to knock out 6B while we're.
yeah, let's go straight down the agenda as far as that goes.
I move to table that out until we have a better idea of what, principal will do with their property.
So on the recommendation for, so we have a motion to table it till we have a definitive answer of what's gonna go on with it.
Now, people can have, we start the whole process right there.
Yes.
Okay, good.
We just have to come to our regular meeting with the information, and we're good to go. Mr. Kelly, y'all hearing what we're doing right now? We're gonna table it to the next meeting, and y'all come back in our regular meeting. You won't have a public hearing again, but it'll come back in our regular meeting with the, with the, information of what you want to do with the property, and we can zone them on that line.
Josh was table it period until they come back.
Table it,
That's
till they come
what
back.
they want, but the next meeting.
Okay, let's completely
Until they
table it.
decide what they wanna do with it, when you wanna decide what to do with it, come back and file your application, and we'll take it from there.
Let Nikki know.
And she'll put you back on the agenda.
I just don't want to.
Put next meeting.
Right, you're not gonna be ready.
Okay, so we're gonna table it on the note that they come back and,
I agree.
that they come back and bring your information in, and we'll set them into the next meeting they have their information for, okay? Yeah, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank y'all, Mr. Kelly, thank you, Mr. Kelly. That brings us to our new business. All maps have been advertised as required. That brings us to the Leander Bates Browning map. Is there anybody here to speak on that map? Introduce yourself and give us a brief of what's going on, sir.
Shane Nicholas, I'm the land surveyor representing Lee Bates Browning on this resub. He has 5.35 acre tract. I'm cutting off 2.05 acres off the end of it for his dad to build a house next door to him. That's the long and short of it.
Is there anybody else here to speak on this map? We're gonna close the public hearing. And, give a recommendation. Do we have to own property ownership?
Check this.
Property ownership around it. Is it the same owner of the property all the way around? This section of property?
He owns to the west of it. It's a different owner that wraps around the south side, south and east side.
So,
Yeah, the south and east, if you look at SLC, LLC, at the bottom right corner.
oh, I see lines drawn.
Yeah, and then Lee he also owns a big, I don't know, 10 acres or so, a deep tract, right on the west side of his property.
His name is up here, okay. So, it's down here at the top, okay. All right.
Bill Cotton,
Yeah.
Mark McDermott,
Yep.
Matthew Peters,
Yep.
Andy Bishop.
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to our second map, the Noah Gary map. Is there anybody here to speak on that?
Jeff Moody's one of them. Property's on Shady Grove Lane. If you look at it, the front of it, where it fronts on the road, is actually in the town of Village of Norwood. You can see that line cutting across lot 7B. So what y'all have is the back half of lot 782 is actually in the parish. The front part, well, all of lot 781 is in Norwood, so I'm bringing this in front of y'all, and then I'm gonna bring it to, Norwood and get Mayor Baloo to sign off on this too, so. It was one tract of land, kind of screwed, the way it bottlenecks down to 30 feet, so when we cut off that, 781, it fronts on Shady Grove Lane, it was already an existing servitude to get to lot 7B, and that's gonna be the same servitude they use to get to the back lot 782, which is the main port that lies in East Feliciana Parish, as far as what y'all are concerned with.
Is there anybody else here to speak on this map? Let's close the public hearing.
Move to accept the map.
Secretary?
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Bishop,
Yes.
Bill Cotton,
Yeah.
Mark McDermott.
Yes.
Matthew Peters.
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
That brings us to the Keith Ray Cranford map.
Those one nine. This is on 952 above the Sticks area, above Jackson. We're just removing that lot 1A, a 5-acre tract, leaving lot 1B, 17.84 acres, so simple. Got the frontage on the highway, both pieces, so just make the one track into two.
Anybody else here to speak on this map? Close the public hearing.
Second.
Secretary?
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Bishop,
Yes.
Bill Cotton,
Yes.
Mark McDermott.
Yes.
Matthew Peters.
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Biggs. All right, that brings us now to map number 4, Mr. Roy Smith. Anybody here to speak on this map?
Yes, my name is Barry Smith, I'm a surveyor record. I did this project a year ago, I guess Mr. Roy decided to turn it in this month, so he just wants to cut off some property for his daughter, and that's what I did, and if anybody has any questions, please ask.
There's, so, are we crossing the road? Is that what's going on there?
It does, the property does cross over 432,
Is there anybody else here to speak on this map? Let's close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, Mr. Secretary?
Great job.
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Bishop,
Yes.
Bill Cotton,
Yes.
Mark McDermott.
Yes.
Matthew Peters.
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. That brings us to the, Layla Ursajay map.
I have omitted on this copy, omitted, yeah, what everybody else has.
That's all right, that's not a problem at all. Mine doesn't have a full one, that's okay. Brings us to the Jeff and Dana Travis map. Mr. Smith?
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Travis, again, want to, subdivide a tract of land, for one of their children to build a house on, and that's what I did, and if you have any questions, please ask. from it's subdividing a larger tract of land into two separate tracts of land, yes, sir.
Anybody else here to speak on this map? Let's close the public hearing. Here, was servitude exist before?
Yeah, it did.
It existed before, and it's just going through our property.
Existing servitude, I have on there existing, is that correct? Existing.
Dedicated private. But it was one that went to the back piece of property before.
It services the upper track too, cut out a couple of years ago for sun, so it's the same servitude.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Secretary?
Shirley Ann,
Yes.
Andy Bishop. Earl Cotton,
Yes.
Mark Jones.
Yes.
Matthew Peters,
Yes.
Josh Ellis.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
One more.
Oh. So, that brings us to our maps considered under administrative procedures. Back roads and associate map is our first one to look at.
The client intends on building a building that's going to be pretty close to this is originally two separate tracks. He's intends on building a building that was falling pretty close to the, original property line in between them, so he hired me to, combine those two tracks.
So, you're just removing a lot line, that's all you're doing. Do we still have to prove?
Second.
You still have to vote, close, does anybody else speak on this?
There's no public hearing.
No public on this. All right,
Shirley Ann,
Yes.
Andy Bishop,
yes.
Earl Cotton,
Yep.
and, Mark McDermott.
Yes.
Matthew Peters,
Yes.
Josh Ellis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. All right, that brings us to the Paul Musselman map. Is there anybody here to speak on that?
Yes, sir. Skip Moody, I did the map for, Mr. Russell Ferguson. All they're doing here is we're taking .608 acres from Mr. Russell's tract and adding them to Mr. Ferguson's tract. There's 6 acres.
Only .608, okay, tiny spot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Move to accept the map?
Second.
Mr. Secretary?
Shirley Ann,
Yes.
Andy Bishop,
Yes.
Earl Cotton,
Yep.
Mark McDermott.
Yes.
Matthew Peters.
Yes.
Josh Ellis.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Moody. All right, that brings us to other business. Final plat of Iron Creek subdivision, Second Island. Do you have anything on that?
We don't have anything to do with the final plat. Once
What are you supposed to do?
Once planning and zoning approves the preliminary plat, everything else is between the engineer and the police jurisdiction.
Is there anybody here to speak on Iron Creek?
Hi.
You are, you're the man.
Oh, yeah.
Did they have the final plat ready?
You should have it in your hand.
You do not.
I got a copy of it. I got a copy of it.
Well, I should have the whole procedure as usual. I handed it in, paid the fee.
But it doesn't come to us anyway. The final plat goes strictly between, once the engineer signs off on it, he gives a letter to the jury and says,
Well, I sent y'all all an email, the checklist saying that it's all been done.
I know.
Well, why didn't someone tell me at the application that I didn't have to come here? I mean. I don't
It's
see
not
it.
wasted
I
trip.
thought
It's okay with
y'all,
this
I thought
anyway,
on the first filing, y'all had to approve it. Or recommend
The
approval.
preliminary plat, we recommend approval for for all the filings. Once it gets down to construction and final plat, that's between the engineer and the jury, we're out of it. Once preliminary.
Well, I hope you talk to the
everything.
jury, because they're gonna be looking at me like the deer in headlights. when-
I'll be
when
there
they
to
say,
tell them.
Where's the recommendation from our planning commission? Okay.
The
we can be there,
the
so good.
recommendation comes from their engineer. He signs off on final plat in the subject.
Well, the engineer doesn't sign it on file.
Yeah, but he makes the final plat that's built.
Yeah, well, that's what I sent y'all.
I
So,
know.
so
I
that
understand.
should be,
That should be done.
so Mr. Robichaux needs to be sure, does he need to have his engineer?
His
control the
engineer
steering wheel?
and then police jury engineer is the one.
For
who does
July.
it. Yeah, that says everything's been met. I would suggest Mr. Robichaux's engineer call Forte and July to make sure that they're on board with the final plat and everything's complete.
Well, I apologize for wasting your time.
No, you didn't. You didn't come for the other map, Skip, so.
We hadn't seen it in a long time. I haven't seen it.
All right.
You didn't come for the other map.
Is anybody here from the police jury for anything? All right. Legal representative, do we have anything on? No? All right, so we're gonna move back into public comment. Give you about 5 minutes or so, that'll equal out what we begin with there. And then we're gonna cut everybody else who wants to speak to about 3 minutes.
I don't know where I will.
Check with the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Berms, everything, we should know about berms. So, so let me see. So, I went through, and I've been to a lot of ranges throughout the country. I did training, that's where I learned how to shoot like we do. So a lot of the ranges you go to don't have, you have one there? They don't have any backstop between every target. Some of them are just, or there's open field, there's no burn at all. Okay? This is just a rival range, but it's, everything I got was from, Louisiana, Mississippi, or eastern Texas. That's one as well. This is the 1,000-yard range in North Louisiana. Shooting into the wood line. No berm, just one little berm in front. This one, the guy's taller than the berm, and this you can into a trash pile. So, I mean, just kind of, and then that one, that target there, and their targets are towards the top, you know, upper third. All of our stations have eyebrow berms or just more berms. So that's our 300-yard target. And then our 400, that's a splatter. 400-yard, 500-yard, and so on. They all have protectors. So no bullet is just going to skip off and go anywhere. They're all going to be caught by a burn. Noise, trajectory.
Sir, since you're explaining the technicality of the thing to us, but I want to hear what the community's saying. Are you really concerned about the stray bullets and the noise?
Oh, ask anybody that's been in my facility. That's our number one concern, is to keep them on property. That's probably the thing that said most, we're gonna keep the bullets on property. If you're not safe, you're not staying here. I ran a guy off, I've stopped several of them, I got letters from other shooters.
So you're saying you ran somebody off, your range officer had to run somebody?
No, I ran him off first, but the guy was there, yes.
But that's what your safety man is.
Yes.
And you were the safety man in that case.
That's correct.
So that's what I'm asking, your range officer. had
Yeah,
to-
yeah, a guy came in, and he didn't know exactly what he was shooting, and he had a caliber that I really wasn't comfortable with him shooting anyway. Started about 100, and he proved to me that he didn't even know the different types of scope that he had. I asked him if he was shooting mil or MOA, it's two different measurements. He didn't either. He told me he was shooting MOA. I told him, I saw the shot, I told him to adjust, come up 3 minutes, which would be 3 inches at 100, come up 3 minutes, which is towards the top of the target. I said, buddy, I don't have time. So if you want to come back for a one-on-one, I'll help you, be glad to help you, but you gotta go.
So I'm listening to you say you're telling people, so somebody's present with them in the box while
Oh,
you're shooting?
100%.
I mean, that's what
Oh,
I'm
yes.
asking. I don't know.
Yes,
You spot it.
we're watching every shot. Anything to ask? We have the shooters in here?
Yeah.
Are we spotting?
Oftentimes there's more than one in there.
Yeah, me or Vicky or Chris, yeah, you can't just walk into the shooting house, we discussed that before, you have to book a time. He discussed last week, there's a sign out by the gate, of course there's a sign out by the gate. People would just show up and nobody's there. You know, we don't want people just walking around the property, but nobody's shooting, but nobody's there. So we had to put something up to say, hey, if you wanna shoot, and we start at 10 in the afternoon, or 10 in the morning. We could start at 8. You know, we don't start till 10 to get, for one, we're hunters too. You know, so we got people hunting around us during deer season, we know that, and we're not trying to disrupt their hunting morning.
There was talk of a lot of rounds being shot. What is your typical, and what do you see typical rounds?
Yeah, on 4-H, or, like, he's talking Saturday and Sundays is the busiest days, right?
And 4-H.
4-H is that's 4-H.
So how far is 4-H shooting at?
There's 50 yards, well, it's 100 yards on silhouettes. So,
What caliber are they shooting?
22s. Yeah, and he also,
2,000 yard range shoot, 50 cal.
no, we used to 65. Yeah, not a laugh at you.
what we ran off.
Yeah, that's what we ran off.
Ran out 600 on the
Yeah, we're shooting, I think Chris has some bullets. And then there's dummy rounds on them.
These are dummies. They're not
We're shooting small rounds. We're shooting 6.5.
5.56.
That is 243 and 6 millimeter.
Yeah, that's what we're
normal
shooting.
hunting.
For one, the bigger calibers tear our stuff up. We don't want that, you know, we wanna shoot smaller stuff, so our stuff flies, you know? And, the trajectory, you know, they're worried about shooting over the berm. Even, and I'll show you minutes in a minute, if you have to dial the scope 10 minutes high to even hit the top of the berm, and even then, the bullet, that's 6.5 Creedmoor. All right, and then that's 300 PRC, that's a flatter shooting. So that's the trajectory of the, I didn't get the video, should have done that. That's the trajectory. Bullets don't just, they're not laser beam. They're falling into the target. So even if we hit the top of the berm, which nobody ever has, and we've gone out there this week and pulled and looked, and the highest round that we could find was right at 4 foot from the top of the berm.
And you did indicate you had a range safety officer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, at all times, spotting shots, and then we have the cameras that watch the shots.
We have to unlock the door.
Yeah, they can't get in the building.
So as you're saying, and I'm gonna have to cut you here in just a second.
Come on, man.
You're saying the high volume of shots is related to 4-H?
That is, most people that come, they're shooting, it's $50 a box. They're coming, they're shooting, 20 rounds. Now, we do have some shooters, some members that come, and they reload, and they'll shoot, 40, 50 rounds. But let me get one more thing, because he was talking about the amount of people that we've had. I've shot at my house now for 4 years, been doing this for 4 years at my house. In my class, I would have 10 to 12 people at a class. I had one gun and one shooting station. You know how long that shooting lasts? All day. So now I have 5 stations. I have 5 shooters, 5 spotters. You know how long it lasts now? Well, about 2 hours, and we're done.
So you've been shooting at this property?
Yeah, off my porch. I had a school right out of my house.
Yeah, so you were so we're in a different case now where technically this is safer.
Yeah,
You've been
100%.
shooting for 4 years.
We're shooting down into the berms. Yeah, we're no longer sitting porch level, shooting porch level. We're in an elevated platform shooting down. So,
Give me one more point.
all right. Another point is, this is our, now they have to go online to book spots, okay? So they go online to book. In November, it's 14 total spots, which 14 spots means 14 hours total in the month of November.
Is a spot a person? Or
A
is
spot
a
is a person.
spot
There's
is-
5 spots available,
Okay.
and so.
A spot is one
Right,
person.
like we
in each
discussed
spot. It's not-
last July, June, whatever, we had a 5-lane, that's what it was.
Okay.
So we have 5 spots they can book, so that was whatever I said, I don't remember. So 32 hours in the month of December where everybody got their new guns, 32 hours total.
It's been 4 days and 4 months, 2 hours. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. 4
Yeah.
full days, with hours, and 4
So
months.
January, same thing, but over 53 hours.
So are those, like I see 2s and 3s and stuff like that, or those sometimes at the
2
same
people at a
time.
time, yeah.
There's 2 people at the same
Yeah.
time.
We have days when nobody,
So-
nobody.
Yeah, it's, you know, like days, isn't it?
I see Dr. Sanders left, so,
Yeah.
so if you're shooting on assignments, or as we say, uncivilized.
Yeah.
Well, that's what shooters call it,
Yeah.
all the shooters call it, if you're shooting
Yeah.
down signs or you're shooting uncivilized. According to his little chart here, you're making 84 decibels for his property, do we have anything that can show us
Yeah.
silence?
I got it, wherever he is. I got a guy that came out last April.
Okay.
Yeah, he can.
So, let's move his 3 minutes. No, I mean, I just have to be fair.
Well, he got a half hour
We'll be here all
last week,
night.
you know what I mean? But,
He didn't get quite, he didn't get a half hour, but.
We're good.
We are actively pushing suppressors,
Yeah.
we all shoot suppress, we do not want them movable. I mean, you know, we don't want them movable, we would like them to be comfortable and us keep doing what we're doing, I mean, that's what we're gonna do, but like, we want them to not be so mad about it, that's not the goal, you know,
Right. That is.
that's not the goal.
Sorry, yes,
Good answer.
lawyer.
I'm a lawyer, but I'm gonna let
Okay,
this
that's
guy
fine.
talk first, 'cause he's got the
Sir.
sound down.
Please introduce yourself and give us the information you have.
Good evening, I'm Joseph Moe, I'm the owner of Ackless Defense. I've been in the firearms and shooting industry for about 22 years. I've been a high-level consultant for about the last 12. What that means is, especially in sound moderation, range systems, ballistics, how rounds stop, I do consulting for that as a long-term service. Some of the clients that I've worked with is range system, special cooking arms, century arms, rowing shot, gun mufflers, and the U.S. Coast Guard. Back in April, I believe Ben introduced me to Mr. Frizzell, who's the owner of the property. He wanted to ensure that this was meeting legal and the ethical sound regulations, make sure we weren't disturbing property owners as well as wildlife and things like that. Seeing where the sound baffles would end up. So we took the meter out, and it's a very specialized meter because there's really 3 types of sounds. There's a slow, a fast, and an impulse. Now, a firearm is in the impulse range, and it requires a very, very specialized piece of equipment to do that. The equipment that I use was a Larson Davis LXT QPR, and this is a Class 1 meter. Class 1 is a lot higher resolution versus a Class 2, which is more commonly available and something that the LXT is available in, but there's a higher certified machine to be able to capture these shots. Most meters on phones, Radio Shack, Amazon, they're Class 2 meters, and they are also designed for, at most, a fast level and not impulse measurements. Firearms have to be very specifically measured at an impulse level to be able to accurately catch that. Otherwise, you get false highs, false lows, and longer spikes, as the doctor mentioned. This spike will actually show up differently in those low resolution meters. All right, so there's 3 different scenarios, or actually 6 different scenarios, but 3 different measurings. At the shooting house, suppressed, we're seeing them anywhere between 138 and 142 dB, which is at hearing safe levels. Unsuppressed, you're going to see around 158 to 162. Now, every 3 feet of distance from the muzzle, you're going to see about a dB or so of drop. So as it gets further away, it's a logarithmic scale. So it's not a linear thing, it's a very steep drop off with sound. The further you get, the more stuff you get in it, the more humidity, the more mass, the further the sound gets absorbed and attenuated. So that is the 2 measurements at the shooting house, 1 meter off the muzzle of the firearm, which is about the loudest area you can get, especially on a bolt action rifle. The next measurement we took was actually at the property line of Dr. Sanders' property line, within about a meter of it or so. And we have videos up if you'd like to take a look at this. It's actually on YouTube. They're set as a invite, so I can invite anybody can view that. But baseline, what we consider room tone. This room tone would be somewhere, and without a meter you can't really ballpark it very close, but I can say this room tone is probably around 63 to 67 dB. The room tone on April 20th of 23, was 68.6 dB baseline. That's a very quiet scenario. That's the birds chirping, the wind blowing through the air. And fortunately, somebody was riding a quad down the road and around the area. And I'm very thankful for that because it's an everyday process. Everybody experiences that. And we did measure that, and that was the loudest event that we measured during the whole time I was there, other than the actual direct gunshots. And that measured at 92.2 dB. And remember, this is a calibrated meter designed to measure these types of firearms as well as overall types of sounds. And that quad was at about 20 yards or so in the closest scenario.
And the room tone, is you speaking or us listening to this AC running?
Just the standard, like
Us being
no,
quiet and the room moving around?
correct, no peaks. So the average tone of it. On the opposite side, the north side at the road, which is very close to the shooting house, but there is 3 layers of trees, as well as the baffle of the shooting house. The tone was almost identical, 68.6. The shots were in the 72.5 range. Whenever I was speaking to Mr. Frizzell, we were getting measurements between 70 and 76.7. Finger snaps and other impulses are a good way to just confirm that everything's going well. Finger snap at that level at 12 inches is 84 dB. Without the proper equipment, without the proper knowledge, you cannot measure impulse sounds like this. 90 dB depending on the scale. So if you remember, I mentioned there's 3 types of sound. There's the slow, the fast, and the impulse. Well, these meters are designed to weigh each profile. And by weight, you take a look at it and you look at a criteria. And you develop your curve based on that criteria. And there's 3 different criteria, and depending on that criteria, the numbers will skew. I'm not sure what the doctor's meter was using or what meter it is at all, but I'm guessing he's probably using a Z weighting, which is one of the most excessive weightings. Typically, firearms industry, we want to use the A weighting. A weighting weights it to the human ear range, so between 20 and 20,000 hertz in that range. The Z is a much broader. It looks at every sound range, even in audible rounds ranges, and then compresses it at the bigger. To kind of sum it up, this is a consulting job that I did independently. The roaming shot range is probably one of the safest and nicest ranges, especially outdoor ranges that I've been to. It does have berms at every station, every 100 yards, which makes a huge difference because you are shooting at an impact that's not flat ground and there's no skips. I'm very safety conscious to the point where there's some property that is actually in between the baffle of the range and the school on Green Franklin Road that I'm looking at purchasing. So I feel comfortable enough with the range that I'm going to put my family's home in.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Murphy Foster. I'm an attorney in Baton Rouge, a law firm of Brazil, Saxey and Wilson. My home address is 2732 Tradition, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I met Ben about a little more than a year and a half ago. I had booked a trip to Africa for safari. I hadn't shot a 4-legged animal in 30 years, mainly a bird shooter. And I wanted somebody to teach me to shoot long range in case the opportunity presented itself, and that's how we met. He had another range behind his house, and that's where he said, when we get through a day of shooting, I'm going to have you shooting a golf ball at 500 yards. And if you don't know me enough. Think about that, a golf ball at 500 yards. The gun I had, I couldn't see the golf ball. Shooting his gun, and later, the gun that I bought, yeah, you can see it and you can shoot it. He's got one of 2,000-yard ranges in the state. The other one up in North Louisiana is a pale comparison to what he has. Ben has established a state-of-the-art facility here, such that people come from all over the South to shoot this range. It is an incredible facility. I want to read to you, just briefly, and I'm not going to take more than my 3 minutes, but let me read to you a letter of July 25th, 2023, from this commission to Dickey Frisell, the owner of the property. The East Feliciana Parish Planning and Zoning Commission hereby grants permission to proceed with the completion and operation of your outdoor range. This letter to proceed is based on the fact that there is nothing in the current parish ordinances that prohibit this activity. It is imperative that you maintain good neighbor relations, only operate during daylight hours, and obey noise ordinances, which is below that 85. You are also required to obtain and maintain an occupational license. There's no doubt that this was going to be a commercial business. Through the East Feliciana Parish Sheriff's Office, and carry appropriate insurance for your activity. If you need the above or not met, your situation will be revised and the appropriate action taken. East Feliciana, the Sheriff's Department's at this place all the time. They're absolutely familiar with it. And this commission knew it was going to be commercial. If anybody says, oh, we just thought this was going to be something you're going to shoot in your backyard down 1,000-yard range just for you. No, nobody ever thought that. My understanding is that Ben came here multiple times to present this idea to you. You were given plots, plans, all of the above. He has spent over $500,000 investment in this range. It is that much. Over $50,000 on fiber optics, to where those optics run down range, and he's got little cameras out there at 700, 800, 900, 1,000 yards to tell you if you're hitting the thing, if you're hitting the target. This is legitimate. It would be a horrible injustice to in any way restrict his ability to operate his business there, as you originally did. Thank you.
Do you have any neighbors of the property?
My father owns the property, Joseph Nolan. I'm also Joseph Nolan. My father's hard of hearing, has to wear hearing aids, so I'm not big ones he has.
So what property do you own? If you're looking downrange, where's your property?
If you're at the shooting house looking downrange, we are 2-3 pastors away from the shooting house. We are between Daryl's house and the shooting house. So we are 300 yards, about 300 yards closer than Mr. Darryl. I can stand on our porch grilling, no issues. I have no, granted, I'm one of Ben's customers, I'll admit that. But as far as noise, I shoot my dad's backyard and it's louder than Ben. Ben definitely pushes for suppressors. That makes a huge difference. Noise, safety. I let my 4-year-old ride 4-wheelers in the pastures. Me and him get out riding 4-wheelers while they're shooting. No safety concerns whatsoever. Ben's facility is top notch. I was, at first when he told me what he was doing, honestly, I was a little concerned. But once I got over there working with him, seeing what he was doing, absolutely no issues whatsoever with the facility. There are signs on the road that have the shooting range. It have been moved further closer to where the range is now. It used to be at our driveway, so people knew it was there. So somebody going, oh, I didn't know a range was opening? No. Anybody that drove down Scott Bar knew there was going to be a range on Scott Bar. Miss Brenda, Miss Susan, her property's not even in the parish. So,
Let's don't talk about it.
yeah, I'm old. But that's, as far as the range goes, top notch, no safety concerns. I go down there, I shoot myself with him. He's been known me, 30 years almost. He knows my shooting capabilities. I walk through that door, unload it, sits me down, we go through the safety procedure. And that's everybody that walks through the door, matter they've been shooting 30, 40 years or 10 minutes. That's his,
Mr. Chairman, what's your last name?
Nolan, Noland.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Strictly a personal opinion.
Yes, sir.
That's my neighbor. We've been more years than I got here.
Yes, sir.
I wish to God I would have had a place like that to take my kids to teach them how to shoot. I had to take my son, my other son, my daughter, I had to go out in the backyard and teach them how to shoot. It does an old man's heart good when you see the 4-Hers come down there and teaching them kids gun safety, teaching them kids how to shoot, where to shoot. Perfect place. They ain't out there in the backyard somewhere taking a chance on shooting a Coke can that might hit a tree and wind up somewhere else. Personal opinion, you couldn't ask for a better place. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any neighbors? Any more neighbors?
Yeah, one more.
Neighbor, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Shaughnessy Nolan. I live between the range and Darryl Sanders' house. I have no problem with it. I sit on the front porch every day when I get home from school and I relax, whether there's gunfire going off or not. That's life in the country. If they weren't shooting, Darryl would be shooting. Darryl wasn't shooting, people at the dairy be shooting. Yeah, there's always shooting. We're in the country, people are hunting. People are raising their kids with gun safety. I've known Ben since he was 13, 14 years old. He goes by the book. He makes sure everything's safe. He takes care of what's his, what's his neighbors. He steps in and helps us when we are down and out. I don't have any problem with the gun range. I think it's a good place for kids to come and learn safety, to learn how to properly use firearms, and to hone their skills, for men to come and hone their skills for hunting. We're in a place in this world where we might be back to hunting for survival. It'd be a good idea that we know what we're aiming at. So, they have my support. I don't see any problem with it.
Chris, is one person. I mainly just brought some props to give some perspective to what's going on at the range. Let me show you real quick. So that little white circle is that. It's a 6-inch circle. That boy shoots, 400 or 500 rounds a year. Sorry, whatever.
That's nephew.
That's my son, Nathan. He's getting brought up like we did. You know, our dad liked to shoot, like, he loaded pistol and all that, but he never was a hunter. And so we never learned how what was done, right? How to shoot, how to be accurate. That first picture you just looked at was a 380-yard shot on a white tail. That boy lay by himself because he had time and the place to practice.
Did you shoot that deer?
Yes, ma'am. No, that was weekend after Thanksgiving, and that deer was 380 yards away, which 440 is a quarter mile. I'm sure some of y'all run track or whatever. That's a long shot for a man. That's not an 11-year-old boy. Actually, he was 10 at the time. No, just 8 on it. So, that little circle right there is 6-inch plate. And so, I watched the video last month. So these are dummy rounds. That's a 243. Everybody's at a 243 as a kid, right? Real simple. This is what we're shooting. It's a 6 millimeter. Well, that's a 6 millimeter also. And we're doing that at that distance. And we're clearing 6-inch plates.
That's how.
At 1,000 yards is where that plate is. I should mention. That's not a 100-yard shot. It's not a 500-yard shot. That's that big. Because he's had training. And if we miss, it's inches. It's not feet. I have to crank the barrel of my gun up 10 inches to shoot over that barrel.
Not 10 inches, 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, that's literally, it's not just, you know, an inch at 100 is 10 at 1,000. For men and women. But it's more to it than that, because again, like Ben said, you're lobbing it. By the time that bullet gets there, you are literally arcing into your target. If you misjudge your range, you're gonna hit a little higher up the burn. Most people fall short, and wait for one of your cameras to get shot. So anyway, I just wanted to say that it's I wanted to get some stuff into perspective for y'all for what we're actually doing. And I'm a volunteer. I'm not a paid employee currently. One day. One day. Well, I get used to the range, and I'm going to go over my time for just a second. I love helping people and teaching them how to do this. You know, I go to fill in, I go work as a spotter on weekends. You know, we help set up the range for 4-H or whatever. That's really what it boils down to. It's just fun. I mean, it's a good time, and nobody ever says a brush word beats a fight. Then you got to run both guys with guns. Do that with what you want, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody?
My name is John Kirk. I met Ben through church. We put on the shooting exhibition or training thing at a Wednesday through our church. We could, and we got together and give us some basic education, and that kind of got us interested to go and learn, see more about what he's about over there. And I've been hunting and shooting my whole life. I'm 51 years old. When I pulled up there, I was very impressed. It's the nicest place I've ever been to. I'm a former safety manager. I was a safety manager for 15 years in the plants, so I'm very safety conscious. Lost my dad in a hunting accident. He fell, he didn't get shot, but regardless. So safety is paramount to me. And when I pulled up there and saw his setup, it'll blow you away. There's absolutely no way that you're going to shoot outside of that range. A bullet will not find its way outside that range. No way. You're shooting from a very elevated position, as has been discussed. You're shooting at a pretty steep downward angle, even out to 1,000 yards. It's not just it's a pretty steep downward angle. There are burns, it's been mentioned, that catch the bullets. There's no way that a bullet's going to leave the facility. So, anyways, I'm very appreciative of what Ben and them do for us, for our kids, teaching our kids, and overall teaching kids how to accurately shoot and safely handle a gun is paramount. That's what keeps the kids safe. That's what keeps us safe in the woods. We don't want untrained kids in the woods. I know when I'm walking through the woods, I don't want to hope somebody's kid is trained. So anyway, that's all I have, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else wants to speak on this?
Okay. Go ahead. I just need 1 minute. So when you're talking about kids shooting and everything, I'm from East Feliciana, grew up in Bethel, I'm Delane Hall. And we were taught that you're shooting about 200 yards and aim a couple foot over his back. We don't know where the bullet's going. And that's how we judge things. So when I started hunting in Alaska and New Mexico and places where I like to backpack hunt, I met Ben, and he was able to teach me the right way. And I know the shots that I've made: 426, 532, 826, 1032, 1350 yards. And not only did I just hit the animal, I aimed the hair that I was looking at. I hit it. And for me to be able to do that blew my mind, because around here, we're in the bush. So 400 or 500 yards, we feel like it's impossible. But with the proper training and with the one-on-one classes that he does in there and everybody that comes through there, they know how to shoot. So when I go out to the range at 1,000 yards, I'm not looking to hit the kill zone. I'm looking to hit the spot that I'm aiming at, and it happens. So we know how to read windage. We know how to use applied ballistics. We know what the bullet drop trajectory is. And at 1,000 yards, if I'm a minute off, I'm 10 inches off. I don't miss 10 inches, and nobody else does there either. To be 10 minutes off, it's not going to happen. And even if you were 10 minutes off, the bullet trajectory is going to be dropping at such a rapid rate. If you go to the 1,000-yard spot where the pipe is coming across and it's holding the targets, you can see bullet impacts that are hitting like this. So we're dropping the bullets in. Like you said, it's not a laser beam that we're shooting. And it's impossible to be able to miss that berm and hit that far back, especially with the way that he walks you out. So that's it. Thank you. Caribou.
Sir?
My name's Jonathan Lipinski. I should have went before him. I just want to go a little bit about the safety. You know, a lot has been said about the noise. The safety is, I've taken the class with Ben one-on-one before the 1,000-yard was constructed. And even proven that proficiency shooting a golf ball, I've got 3 golf balls at my house sitting on my safe. Even with that, he still made me walk out. So when you get there, whether you're a new shooter, old shooter, proficient, proven or not, a barrel chamber indicator goes into your barrel, showing that your gun is not loaded as it comes out of the case. The muzzle goes downrange, pointed straight downrange. It doesn't go off to the side one way or the other. Ben, and I've shot there 2 to 3 times a month since it has opened. Ben's been there the majority of the time. Mr. Dickey and Mr. Chris have been there a couple of times as well. You start at 100 yards and you're shooting 30 degrees down into the dirt, 1 bullet at a time. You're not filling up magazines. You're not shooting multiple rounds without going unchecked. You shoot 1 round, you find out where you shot. Ben notes that. Mr. Diggy, Chris, right behind you on the spotting scope. You move out to 200. You move out to 300. So you're not skipping, and there's no, even when I go now, I can shoot a 3-inch group at 1,000 yards, and I still start at 100 yards every time. I'm not going, I'm not skipping targets.
Every time somebody comes out, they start close.
Yeah, make sure they didn't knock your gun or something.
And that's been, I've shot next to multiple law enforcement people. I've shot next to competition shooters, and it's all the same. Everyone starts at 100 and goes out. Ben showed a scope earlier. The equipment needed to do that isn't specialized, unobtainable equipment. It's available for a few $100s. It's not, you don't have to be a rich man to get into the sport. I go for several hours, and I'll fire on average probably 30 rounds in 4 or 5 hours a day. So it's not going out there and shooting hundreds and hundreds of ammo. I've been out there once when there were 5 shooters. Other than that, it's generally, I've been out there by myself a lot, with Ben or one of the other. I say by myself. I've been the only shooter. Majority of the time, it's 1 or 2 other shooters along with the range officer. So, you know, it is very safe, and that is first and foremost. You won't find a hunter or a shooter whose safety isn't number 1 concern. But I have seen them ask people to walk away. You know, he'll go over the equipment, he'll go over with the shooter, the abilities, and you won't go past your proficiency. You won't allow it.
Thank you.
That's all.
Seville. I'm a parent of one of the 4-H kids that Ben coaches, which there are over 24 4-H kids that Ben coaches, and many of them are here tonight. If you are one of the kids that Coach Ben helps at Roaming Shop, please stand up. And these kids are here, and they have sat patiently for an hour and a half on a school night. I think they deserve to be recognized, but I want to say just a couple of things from the perspective of a business owner acting within his permissible activities in the parish is one thing, and that's something that Ben has done. But over and above that, he has given back hundreds of hours at this point, time, money, energy that he pours into these kids. They have practices every weekend. A week ago, they had 8 hours of practice in 1 week. Ben is there before practice starts. Everything is set up for the kids when they come in. He has a safety meeting with them. He has taught them all of the gun safety, and he goes over it every single time they come out there to shoot. And, you know, it's 20-plus kids that have relied on him to show them what to do to help them do well in competitions and to learn gun safety on a range that they would not have access to any other way. The 4-H shooting sports program with small bore has quadrupled in the past year. We have a practice facility in this parish, which would be a barrier to a lot of these kids being able to shoot if they had to go to East Baton Rouge or West Baton Rouge to actually get their hours in of practice. Ben has provided that facility free of charge. He coaches free of charge. He solicited other coaches free of charge. His safety range guys are out there free of charge. The amount that this man has given back to the youth of this parish is something that should be commended. And quite frankly, it aggravates me that he's having to defend his right to do business within the limits of his permit, because in my opinion, he should be commended for what he's done. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Morgan Christina. I'm one of the parents of the shooters. My daughter, this is her second year shooting. She made it all the way to state last year. Because of Ben and Mr. Keith, without their range, they wouldn't have anywhere to shoot. They can't shoot silhouettes anywhere else close, I don't know, anywhere else. There's special equipment, so without, he gives up so much time, and I agree, I'm frustrated for him for having to do this. They've given up so much time and money and just effort. They don't ask for anything. We could call at 10 o'clock at night and say, hey, look, I can't get her to a competition. What do I do? Just drop her off, I'll pick her up. They would bring her. So, yeah, I don't live that far from them, and all we hear is great things about the range. People that don't know about it, they're like, oh, where's it at? You know, give me the information, they're interested in it. All I hear are the benefits of it. So,
Thank you. Is that it? We might go out in 1 minute.
Yes, sir. My name's William Farrell. I've known Ben a while, and shot long range well even before I met Ben. Still took his class, because you can always learn something. But a lot of people just don't understand. They think you just ran to Walmart, picked up something, and you're out there lobbing it out. No, you're not. Since nobody I know that knows my wife is here, I got over $10,000 from the right. Watch YouTube, and my ammunition, $1,000 I got in the room and the work I do on custom bullets to shoot that range is not willy-nilly. And I'm gonna call that Jonathan, that is not a $300 rifle. But the safety, ex-military shot ranges my whole life. I've never been to a safer range than that range right there. So I'll let you go.
My name's Joshua Morris. I live on 440 Leonard D Road, Slaughter, Louisiana.
My son also shoots in 4-H. Safety is key out there, been that way day one. He's improved a lot, but that's neither here nor there. I live on Lemon View Road. Anybody else live close to Lemon View Road in here? There's more rounds that go off on Lemon View Road than one shot. You would think that there was a range on Lemon View Road, and to my knowledge, since I live there, there's not. There's automatic fire, there's semi-automatic fire. We shoot out there some, but they're 22s because I want to teach my son how to shoot. What I'm saying is live in the country. There's shots everywhere. And I'm not talking about just a handful. Like some of these guys reload, and they'll shoot 400 rounds. It don't matter. It can be day or night. They don't care. Are you going to go after them? Are you going to stop them from doing that? No, because you don't know who it is. You don't know where it is. And that's fine. This man has created a place to shoot within a certain time frame because of his willingness to work with his neighbors and trying to get suppressors on everything that shoots out there other than their little 22s. And yeah, there's 300 rounds that go off on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings whenever we're out there shooting because, my goodness, there's 24 kids and they shoot. We're trying to get them to where they can win something, you know, and this past weekend we had a shoot a match at Bridgeview in Fort Allen. Our kids did great. They did awesome. My son did way better than when he started. Oh my goodness, I don't think he hit the target. But I mean, he shot in really good groups, and it's all because of this man and this facility that he's created that is extremely safe. And it's not that you have to watch where you're going when I walk out of my house whenever guns are going off because there's no burns around my house. Anyway, thank you.
People have them to do, we have to hear shots at 12 o'clock and they don't stop on it.
Hey, Andrew Nation, I live off 955 East of Nothing. I've been a gun dealer out there for probably 20 plus years now. Collecting is probably like me, but to watch my two sons learn, well, doing a lot, but I want to talk about the noise. Yes, we shoot a lot. Y'all are familiar with a hypersonic round, crack, a bullet? Correct. Right. Happens somewhere around 1150 feet per second. Our CMP shooting for 4-H has to be done with standard velocity. Standard velocity breaks around 1,000 feet, which is subsonic. There is no loud crack. And y'all can attest to my son's rifle, there's been many kids that ask, why is the rifle so quiet? It has no suppressor. That's because the rounds aren't loud. I can safely stand there behind him while he's shooting. I can carry on a conversation with anybody else. No problem. I've been to ranges. My favorite is actually Gloucester, Mississippi, from the 2 national parks. It's off Highway 33. There's a house to the south. There's a house across the road. And the volume of ammo that gets shot there is ridiculous. I can fill up a 5-gallon bucket today if I went for just brass. Not once have I had an issue. Ben's range is 10 times safer than that one. That one, there's no protection to the sides other than pine trees. There's a natural gas pipeline. They're running behind a 100-yard burn. You have federal government felt it was a great foothold. It's part of the number 2 national park. So say this place is unsafe, I just don't see it.
Good. Ben, I have a couple questions to ask you, and I just want to make a statement, too. But, on what we're looking at here, that it shows.
I didn't see it.
So, just so you can give reason. What, with the amount of shots he's showing there, when would that have been?
So I want to make sure I understood what you were saying here.
Is he here? Oh, there you go.
What you're saying is that the
decibel level at the Sanders property was less than the four-wheeler. The
Absolutely.
roar from the shop was less than the four-wheeler that was passing by.
No.
I think somebody said they were running four-wheeler.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee you it was probably my four-wheeler.
That was a Sunday,
But,
4-H.
So the only sounds that we measured that was above the ordinance, again, however that ordinance was put in place, I'm curious of what measurements, because, there's ways of working those measurements to kind of fit what you want it to fit, which is why we're required to meet a very certain, very specific standards, and if we go out of that, then our readings aren't accepted in any scientific or law community. So the only readings we received was the four-wheeler driving down the road that was above what the ordinance zone was. So somebody's breaking the
No
ordinance.
shop support.
Only at the 1 meter from the muzzle, and then at the base of the shooting house, which is basically the parking lot, was anything that was, over 93-ish dB. Once we came past the property, everything was below.
All right, I just wanted clarification.
But on this one, that Sunday, this is at 1:30. My first one went till 3 o'clock.
What Sunday was that one?
That was on, it could have been 4-H.
It was 4-H, that was
What?
Sunday.
That's 4-H.
Four,
Yeah.
that's 22.
That's 22 small ones. Okay.
Yeah, that was my first appointment I had on there.
So, I just want to make a statement. Your lawyer got up here and read the letter that we sent out.
Right.
Please, quiet. Got up here and read the letter out that we had sent to him. So in that letter, it said part of it was being a good neighbor. All right. So where our complaint is coming from is from a neighbor, okay? The forum here this evening, and we're giving y'all the opportunity to inform us, and you will be able to inform the police jury of why you are being a good neighbor, okay? That's what this forum is for. I didn't particularly appreciate the lawyer reading the letter that I wrote back and kind of throwing it in my face a minute ago. But understand where I'm coming from. This is a forum for y'all. The gentleman came to make a complaint to us, and this is a forum for you to present, just like you and your neighbors and everybody else did, of why.
Right. He read the letter back
I understand.
due to what Mr. Sanders
He
was
was not
saying.
here.
Right. Well, I mean,
So, okay.
he's here, he's gonna talk. He's
I'm not fussing, I'm not
Yeah.
fussing, but understand that's what this forum is for.
Right.
It's for you to present why you are safe.
I understand. It's a rebuttal to his argument last week, and last month, that we didn't get to.
And we knew y'all were opening a business.
Right.
That's why we said a business license. We knew it was gonna be a
Right.
business. You're gonna be a good neighbor. You've shown examples that you're not shooting out there 24 hours a day.
Right.
This is what this
Yeah.
forum's for.
We're shooting, just for the record, for one, we don't allow, automatic fire. I have a 07, I can build whatever I want, I can shoot whatever I want with my license that I have. We're not doing that. We could, it'd be
No
fun.
automatic fire?
Yeah, we don't even, look, we had one group one time when we first opened that came out and were shooting more than what they not a middle, they were shooting more than they should have. That was one instance. All right, after that, we put in the no rapid fire. It needs to be boom,
So you
boom.
address the situation.
Oh, yeah, the same as what, Jonathan was saying. We don't load our magazine.
There's almost a 2-second flight time to 1,000 yards.
So it's a
You're
fire. wait for it to
fired, you're watching where you're aiming, you're adjusting, and then you're firing again. So it's not a whole lot of rapid
get- Thank y'all very much for presenting.
It's not
Thank
like
y'all.
tomorrow, we have 2 guys going here at 1 o'clock. That's all we got booked right now for tomorrow. So it's not like an all day, I mean, we can be
Well,
open.
and that's why this is why why we brought a forum in front of you to be able to come and present yourself.
Right.
And you're presenting the truth in the documents for it.
And as far as 4-H goes, they haven't had a 4-H small board team until, Mr. Keith and myself stepped up last year. I think it was 12 years, is what I was told. So, I mean,
Or just going rapid.
right, man, Caleb's doing a great job. And we have, along with 4-H, a lot of people don't know, on the shooting stuff, they can get scholarships.
Right.
So we'll want these kids to be the best they can.
I think the testimonial of everybody in here too speaks to the fact that Ben is a good neighbor. He is absolutely, we are very willing to do anything we can to make people comfortable. We don't, they're actually my family.
Yeah, believe it or not. Really.
Okay, but I'm not trying to make everybody miserable, that's ridiculous. What he's saying is not accurate, you know, it's just not.
Well, and that's why you're here to produce documents, and it's a pretty, so it deals with it the way it needs to be done.
Right.
Quick question, when y'all have the, bathrooms sticking out, are they beyond the barrel of the gun?
Oh, the barrel sticks out the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have a granite countertop.
It's still on either side of the windows.
Yeah,
I'm just asking, so I mean, you'd have to shoot through the bathroom.
They're probably out two
You have
feet
to,
at.
the granite's 5 feet out from the window, and then
What?
the granite countertop, and then you
Yeah,
lay the granite.
so there's the bathroom.
You have to go on top.
So you're sitting behind.
Yeah, you're sitting behind the counter, but it's got granite countertops with the notch out, and we
There's
can
nothing
slide
wrong with
in.
it.
And the barrels, sometimes we get them rascals with short barrels and don't stick out the window, and that's fun for everybody.
Alright, is there
Oh,
anybody
yes.
else, we're getting ready to close the public comment section of our meeting, is there anybody else